Come on, let's go outside. Let's take a walk in the sun. There are things to learn and things to see. A big wide world for you, your dog, and me. Dog Talk. Hi, folks, and welcome to Dog Talk. I'm Pat Becker, you know, my host, Rusty.
Hey, Pat.
And Sarah Hoke is with us today. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
It's good to see you, and of course, excellent to see Barclay. Barclay is a beautiful Merle Collie.
Come here.
And the thing about collies is that there is a lot of misconception about them on occasion. They actually did start in Scotland, and then the UK took them and made them into famous for their areas. They were the herding breed of the century, actually, and that is where they started. People are not familiar with the fact that a lot of other breeds of herding stock were bred from this dog. So it's really, really kind of interesting. Barclay is, I think, a great example. He is beautifully conformed. The hair and the color and everything on him, you know, I would take him to a dog show any day.
His structure is amazing. And I asked her if he had been a show dog because structurally he looks really sound.
Yes.
He's got the collie slope. I mean,
actually,
his head
yes.
is
Yes.
designed for it. It's fantastic. So why do you have a collie, and what's the best thing about having him in your home?
I have collies. I grew up as a kid and my parents introduced me to all the old shows, and that one of them included Lassie. And so I loved Lassie, and I begged my parents for years to get me a collie, and then they finally got me one when I was around 9. And they just turned out to be the most perfect breed. Like I feel like they can do anything. And
well, they really can. They are adaptable. They are very, very, very social dogs. They are experienced at any kind of athletic endeavors. And, you know, collies used to be famous, you know. As usual, some of that fame fails. And, you know, I would say this. I'm kind of glad because basically the breed has not been changed. That is what I love about it. And they are the same, and they are wonderful dogs. They're good family dogs. I don't recommend them a lot for little bitty tiny children. They're a larger dog. They can fall on a child, the child can fall on them, you know, this sort of thing. But as far as behavior and temperament, they're lovely. They really are. And we have made him our dog of the week, which gives you a $100 gift certificate from A1 and Pet Emporium. And he has been sitting over here kind of looking at things and wondering what was in here because what is that? What is that? Is that something for you to play with?
Those.
Huh? Is that something for you to play with? And said there's something in here to eat too, Pat. Look at all these fun things. Yes, yes. I love this part. I can get carried away with this. But at any rate, we appreciate you bringing him, and we'll give these here to you, and you can go over here to your mom and dig into that and get everything that you want. So you're a good boy. I hope you'll bring him back. We're going to take a quick break, folks. Regrettably. You know, but
we'll be back. Maybe,
but we
maybe
have to do it. I may go with Barclay. We'll see you in a sec. Yes, you're such a good boy.
A1 Pet Emporium is Oklahoma's authority on healthy nutrition for dogs and cats. Quality does not have to cost more, and we only have the best. If your pet suffers from allergies, digestive issues, skin infections, or hair loss, it may be the result of their diet. A1 Pet Emporium can help. We offer pet portraits monthly, adorable rescue animals every Saturday from noon to 4, and free dog and cat food samples. Locally owned and operated, we want to be your neighborhood pet store.
So we have a great video with Dr. Laura Sipp from OSU Veterinary Hospital talking about dog toys.
Oh, dog toys. We give them away every week here. Some of them I'm a little iffy about, but Dr. Laura gives us the answers.
She does. Watch the video.
Dr. Laura, we're here today to discuss toys. Now, everyone knows that the toy industry is huge. Multi thousands of billions of dollars spent on toys. There is an issue with toys, however, and I'd kind of like to discuss it. There are toys that we feel that are good, toys that we feel that are precarious to your dog's health. So I'd like to discuss some of them. I brought an array here, and I'd like to sort of get your opinions about them. So let's basically talk about things that you feel are a little dangerous for dogs, or can be?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing I think of because when I think of from nose to stomach, I always worry, well, first thing, let's think about our teeth. The dog's tooth is by far and away not indestructible, but unfortunately this toy is indestructible. So a dog who may decide to chew on it excessively is prone to potentially biting and chewing on it and breaking teeth. So that is a really big concept that I hope owners take home with when they look at the indestructible toys, that those are probably not the best choices.
And they usually fill them with something, you know, which makes it attractive to the dog, and the dog tries to get it. So this is what, you know, intrigues an animal and keeps them chewing like that.
It's certainly appetizing when it's filled with peanut butter.
Peanut butter or something like that. And of course, as you say, older dogs can break teeth easily that way, so it makes a difference. So what about stuffed toys?
Well, stuffed toys are absolutely adorable. I mean, how could you not want to buy something so cute for your pet? The problem is that unsupervised activity can cause them to rip apart a toy, and more importantly, swallow this or decide to ingest the squeaker on the inside, because that's oftentimes what they're going for. They bite on it, they hear the squeaker, they hone right in.
They react to that
They're gonna
prey drive
apart,
thing.
Yeah, rip this apart, get that squeaker out.
So then we have blockage and stuff like that?
Absolutely. So then the problem is one, they can swallow the stuffing and it can get stuck in the stomach or in the intestines.
So how dangerous is that with blockage?
Well, certainly, you know, some small items may pass through. I don't like to take the chance on my dog to find out what will and will not pass. But, you know, certainly here at Oklahoma State, we see a lot of dogs who eat something they're not supposed to. And then we have to do endoscopy to remove it from the stomach, or we have to take them to surgery to remove it from their intestines. And it's a potentially fatal condition, so I would try to avoid it. So this is a great toy when you're supervising them.
Yes, or for little dogs maybe. Things like this. A toy that I see, this one, doesn't have the squeaker, but it's got something embedded in it that makes a noise like a duck or something of that sort. So that is another one that has something that's potentially a dog can ingest. And as large as this particular item is, you know, it could be caught in their throat and something like that.
Absolutely. I just think of dogs as toddlers, so I think I wouldn't want a toddler to put something small in their mouth, so I wouldn't want my dog to do it either.
Yeah, this is another example. You know, these little toys that have squeakers and have things in them, there again, you know, all of the stuffing. Now, I noticed that when I examined a lot of these and took them apart, the stuffing looks to be the same. Some nylon, some cotton kind of thing. But who could resist the look of an item like this, which looks like a little animal? And dogs, when they're outside, they see rabbits, they see birds and things like that, so they go after them. So what about something like this? I'm going to let it squeak. That's a little irritating.
Well, aside from annoying the owner over and over, I mean, this is you know, when the owner feels this, or they're going to buy it, they feel how flimsy it is and how easy it is to chew apart. Now, a smaller breed dog may not be able to rip this to shreds, but I think most large breed dogs, when they get to squeaking on it, they start chewing, and they're going to break this up into a lot of little pieces, which, again, they can swallow.
And here's, I guess, another example, and that one seems as soft as this.
Right, and so I think that's why owners need to pay attention to how flimsy a toy is. If it's something that your dog's very strong teeth and jaws can rip through, it's absolutely something that they can eat enough of them to swallow.
So what do you feel about ropes?
Well, ropes people think are very safe. They really do. They think, oh, this is a nice solid section and this can't be a problem. The problem is dogs will shred this and they'll swallow it. And unfortunately, just like the stuffing inside of these stuffed animals, it can twist itself around in the stomach and also get attached to food in the stomach, or if they've swallowed something else. And so the problem with this is it can become a huge obstruction problem, even though it seems like it's an innocent toy.
And these toys, which I think are geared for smaller dogs, still, if a larger dog gets hold of it, they've got the same problem, don't they?
Absolutely.
So let's talk then about some that are maybe more easily, distributed, easily given to your dogs because of the safety factor. This I thought was interesting. This rolls around on the ground. Your dog cannot eat it. It's very, very tough, and it has a little door here which will let some of the goodies come through.
Absolutely.
So it's very tempting. What do you think about it?
Well, I love these toys, especially ones that encourage a dog to use their abilities as well as their mind. So this is something that's going to help to reduce boredom and help them to be driven to consistently use it without causing a problem. Now, of course, owners need to consider if they're going to put treats in there, they may consider putting kibble in so they're not overfeeding their dogs, and allow them to have their meal inside of a treat. So that helps that predator-prey relationship, that drive that they have to
Absolutely.
get their food.
Yeah. So here's one that we were talking before about. I don't like tennis balls.
Agreed.
Because they pull up. Now, when I researched it, the manufacturer, who is Kong, tells me that these are not as shreddable as the tennis balls. The thing that disturbs me a little bit is there again the rope. But what do you think?
Well, I mean, I certainly agree. If Kong has said that this is not like a tennis ball, which is a concern, and those people who use tennis balls a lot don't realize that the little yellow fibers rip off, get between the front teeth, and cause very severe periodontal disease. So that's an issue. I think this is a better choice than, say, the ones that are just
Like the ropes.
that are cotton, because this seems nylon, maybe a little bit harder for them to shred and swallow. But again, I think the big take home is under supervision, and this is a toy that you play with your dog, so
Exactly.
it's something you're going to be doing with them.
That's exactly. So let's get to well, this is another one that I think was kind of cute. A doll, it will entertain a dog. They roll it around on the ground, and it has a ball inside of it. There's no treat involved, but what do you think of something like that?
Well, I certainly think if your dog enjoys that and they just love to roll it around, that is awesome.
Yeah.
There's no real way for them to get hurt. Now, a large breed dog, say a German Shepherd or Labrador Retriever, potentially could break this plastic. So owners need to be conscientious if they're starting to see a crack in the plastic, that they just take the toy away and find an alternative.
All right, let's talk about the basic Kong. Now, they come in all sizes, as we can see here.
They do.
And so this, I guess, you fill with treats, and they get them, they pull them out, they chew on them for a long time. Even with the smaller ones, you can get these, in kind of treats. There are even some chewables. But what do you think of them? This is the latest kind of Kong.
It helps the little treats come out through the center. I think Kongs are a great choice as long as you're choosing one that's breed specific. The appropriate size for your dog's mouth. I mean, this little teeny tiny Kong, super adorable, but if you're throwing it to a large breed dog, they can easily swallow this and it would get stuck in their trachea and obstruct their airway. So this is you don't want to use something small like that, as well as like say something like a golf ball, kind of the same thought process.
Oh,
just
yes.
be smart about the size that you use.
And you bring up a good point, because a person who is a golfer may be out in their backyard practicing or something, and the golf balls could be around. So it's probably a good idea to pick up those.
Absolutely. I think that especially with the middle size to large breed dogs, where it can just get popped right in the back of their throat. I've seen that happen before. These Kongs are great, and one little gem that I've used for my owners is, I think of this as a really great thing for a dog to work on for a while. So what we do is we put them in a Ziploc bag, fill it with peanut butter or yogurt, liquid that's going to freeze, put them in the freezer, and then it's basically like a Kong sickle. So then the
How
dog
neat
will
is that?
lick and lick and lick.
So what I'm hearing you saying is you fill it with something good, you put the whole thing in a plastic bag, put it in the freezer, take it out of the plastic bag, and it is like a popsicle Kong.
Exactly. And
I love that.
It keeps them entertained for at least 20 or 30 minutes till it starts to defrost.
And I think you've hit upon the whole thing, because a dog, say, during the wintertime doesn't get out as much. The energy is there. Of course, the different breeds of dogs have different levels of energy.
Right.
So these kind of things keep them involved, keep them distracted, get out some of the energetic, nature that they have. and they're going to be happier for it.
Absolutely. And I think the big take home too is to remind ourselves that nothing beats owner-dog interaction. So being there and actually playing with them will also, one, keep them from ingesting something they're not supposed to because you're with them and observing them. But the other thing is they really love to interact with their people.
Exactly. And
that's a big part of it.
That is a huge part of it. And there's so much that you can do. You can take a Kong like this filled with something good that they do really like and hide it.
That's a great idea.
Let them find it. You can throw it
Exactly.
to them, teach them to retrieve. Each time, put in something, they go and get the Kong. There's so much that you can do with these. And I think, as you say, Dr. Laura, taking away the whole issue is monitoring your dogs. Any of these toys are great if you monitor them. And if it's with the right dog, some dogs shred, some dogs don't. But there again, watching them with them,
Absolutely.
interacting with them, and if you're gone and you want to leave something with them, a toy that they can play with like
Something
this,
that's
a
very
Kong,
safe.
that you don't have to be there necessarily to enjoy it. Well, this is such good information, and we thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, this has been very enlightening. So folks, take it to heart. When you go to buy a toy, when you go in that store, think about some of these things. And I think that probably you'll end up doing the right thing. Am I right?
Absolutely. Thanks, Kat.
Thank you.
A1 Pet Emporium is Oklahoma's authority on healthy nutrition for dogs and cats. Quality does not have to cost more, and we only have the best. If your pet suffers from allergies, digestive issues, skin infections, or hair loss, it may be the result of their diet. A1 Pet Emporium can help. We offer pet portraits monthly, adorable rescue animals every Saturday from noon to 4, and free dog and cat food samples. Locally owned and operated, we want to be your neighborhood pet store.
Hey, Dog Talk fans, make sure you join the conversation on social media. Just go to facebook.com/dogtalktv. We'd love to hear a story of your furry friend, so send us an email to pat@dogtalktv.com. You could be featured as our Dog of the Week. Now, enjoy the show.
Welcome to Trainers Forum. We are here with Kathy Rasmussen from Canine Sports Academy, and of course Pat's joining us as well. We have a very important topic that we're going to talk about today, and that's fear, and that's fear with your dog.
That's a biggie. I get calls all the time and emails about it. My dog is afraid of this, or my dog is afraid of that. And there are so many things that a dog can be afraid of. But the important factor is how to recognize that fear, because dogs express fear differently. Tell us your opinion about that, Kathy.
Well, a lot of fear is created by the owner.
True.
Because first off, they don't understand. And the dog behaviors, the whites of the eyes, the freezing, the cowering, lowering of their tail, a lot of times
Their ears sometimes.
the ears go back because they don't know what to do with something. And the first reaction is, as a human, to coddle it and say, yeah, it's okay. But what you're doing is you're reinforcing
You're
their fear.
exacerbating
and
it.
that's where human to dog psychology is so different, and it's very difficult for people to understand.
It is. Dogs yawning a lot of times would be a dog.
Sometimes even that bow stretch.
The bow stretch can be the thing, licking their lips a lot, panting. All of these are symptoms that some people don't recognize.
Exactly. And it's stuff I have to watch for when we're in class working with dogs.
Yeah, I was going to mention that's one of the big things when you're a trainer is it's understanding the relationship of the owner and the dog, and that relationship is different per combination, and being able to recognize it, but when you recognize it, be able to discuss this with the owner and say, this is what we see and this is what you're doing to exasperate the problem.
That's exactly right. And it is, folks, it's true. This is part of what a trainer does. A trainer observes these things and hopefully corrects them, because you can't teach a dog anything until the dog is relaxed and in contact. We look for that dog looking at the person, watching the person. Is that dog comfortable around that person? So a lot of times it's training the person.
Absolutely.
So we have a bunch of things like drooling sometimes can do it, pacing back and forth. People don't understand those, and when the dogs are at home and do these kinds of procedures, we've got to recognize it. So if you do, tell me some of the things some of the fear activated actions that a dog does that we can treat, that we can help?
Not quite sure I understand the way you asked me
So
that.
so if the dog exhibits some of these actions of fear.
Well, for instance, a dog hides behind their owner. I ask them to step away. I don't want them to be the dog's hidey hole. If they're sitting in a chair and the dog goes under the chair, I ask them to get up and step away. Not allowing the dog to be fearful. But if the dog is fearful because somebody's approaching them incorrectly, I try to help that. I never walk straight towards a dog. Even if I know the dog, I'm always going to kind of come in from the side.
Exactly.
And two, there are a lot of times you just have to kind of let the dog chill. There are certain times I say, turn your dog away from whatever is making it anxious.
That's right,
and
the
do
triggers.
do something positive. I had a dog that was afraid of me when she was brought to my home. And all I could do was sit on the floor and just let her decide
Let
whether
her
she
come to
wanted
you.
to come to me. And sometimes we just drop a little tidbit.
You know, and that's another good point that you make, because a lot of people, when they meet a dog that they don't know, they go this way.
They go right at the dog.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And it's let the dog sniff you.
That's right.
And don't approach the dog directly.
That's right. We wouldn't treat each other that way. We wouldn't grow up people we don't know. You know.
Well, or I'm not going to walk into a room and ignore everyone, but that's sometimes what you have to do.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
you walk into your friend's house, you ignore that dog.
That's it.
And you're making a connection with the owner, and the dog's going to see, hey, mom or dad are good with this person that just walked in my house. Okay, I can be okay with them, and then they'll come over to you, and then you can have that fun moment.
So-
Excuse me.
No.
The same thing comes into play with an overexcited dog. Just ask your guest, ignore the dog. Both positive, negative, no matter what the reason, just ask them to come in and ignore the dog. And people with children who are always squealing and running around, that can just make a dog nervous in itself or
Absolutely.
misbehave.
Absolutely, and another is a good point, because you see children that are like 1 year old, year and a half, something like that. They throw fits.
Yeah,
The best thing to do is ignore them.
Yep.
Ignore it. You know, it's a very difficult thing to do if you're out socially.
Yeah, oh,
But
yeah.
you know, you see children doing that sort of thing. The attention that you give them is always negative if you try to correct it like that. So give me an example of, say, when you're in a class, and this is perfect for us, because this is where we see them. This is where we get it. People who don't come to a trainer, you know, for whatever reason, don't get this opportunity. But tell me now, a dog that, say, is afraid of men, how do we do this? How do we handle that?
Well, I do a lot of setup where we have men around and men with hats. But I ask the person just to walk by and maybe toss a treat. Somebody else, man, can go by, toss a treat, ignore the dog, but all of a sudden the dog will start relating to, ooh, good things happen when they come by.
Yes.
Nobody's approaching them. We're not telling them you have to like this person, but you get them learn to relax. Sometimes I do kind of a timeout, but it's really put them in the middle of a situation where we just calmly do our thing and let the owner make that dog focus on them, and they gradually get desensitized to what's going on.
That's exactly right, and it is very, very helpful that way. So we see dogs all the time that are afraid of so many things, loud noises.
Oh, yeah.
And desensitizing is a good tool. You have to be careful with that. As trainers, we know how to desensitize where noises are concerned. With people, you have to be careful. Socialization is a big factor, wouldn't you say?
It's a huge factor, but it's not always the end result.
The answer.
You have some dogs that will have a secondary fear stage, and there can be something that can happen in that early stage that will cause the dog to be fearful in a way that's going to take a little longer for it to get over it. We as humans, one time something really negative happens to us, it's hard to let go if it's a fear type thing.
That's right.
It's just like people and clowns.
That's exactly right. Exactly. That's exactly right. And I will say too, statistics, according to Cornell University, will tell you that a dog that is not desensitized or helped by a certain age they are hardwired to that fear.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So the only thing you can do at that point, folks, is manage the situation.
Well, you brought
Don't-
up a really good point about desensitizing your dog. And when you talk about that, it's I want to take my dog to a restaurant or to PetSmart. Well, you take your dog to the front door and you sit outside and you let the dog watch people come inside. You don't just
Exactly.
automatically walk in.
Exactly.
You don't walk into a patio and think your dog is going to be great. For an example, I saw an owner with a puppy. He brought his dog in, he sat in a corner, he had treats, he had things to get its attention, to desensitize him and give him that
yeah.
experience.
Oh, yeah.
And I went over to him and said, "Sir, I don't mean to interrupt, but you are doing a great job with your dog." And that's very important.
Yes.
But you also have to be aware of your
Yes,
surroundings as a dog
exactly.
owner.
People
That's
come to
exact-
school and they're dragging their dogs in the door. I said, no, back out, back out. Let the dog get the surroundings out here.
Yes.
Stand at the door, use your treats, encourage the dog to come in with you.
Yeah.
And if you have to, go right back out for a little bit.
Yeah, it is so
It's the same
true.
with teaching them how to ride in a car.
It is. All of these things are such big issues, folks. And please, you know, if you have any hesitation at all about what you're doing is not working, go to a trainer. That's what we're here for. We're here. We have a lot of experience. All of us across this state, there are so many fantastic trainers.
There are.
So do us a favor and do that. You'll be a lot happier with your dog, and your dog will be a lot happier about life. We've had a great show. We appreciate it. Kathy, thank you. It's
Kathy.
always good to
Fun
see
having
you.
you
I
here.
enjoy being
We
here.
will see you next week.
Dogs. We're talking about dogs. Talking about big dogs, Talking about little dogs, oh yeah. Chasing the ball, chasing the cat, digging holes, thing like that. Dogs. Talking about dogs. Laughing dogs, sad dogs, happy dogs, mad dogs. Dogs. Just talking about dogs. Lost and alone, running the street, checking the garbage, looking to eat. Out there sad and on their own, the law will get them if they got no home. Dogs, talking about dogs. Dogs, we're talking about dogs. You say they were angels sent from above, then a year or two later you fell out of love. You dumped them, man, and kicked them out. Now what the heck was that about? Dogs. We're talking about dogs. Dogs, them poor little dogs. Talking about big dogs, Talking about a little dog, oh yeah. Chasing the ball, chasing the cat, digging the hole, things like that. Dogs, we're talking about dogs. Laughing dogs, sad dogs, happy dogs, mad dogs. Dogs, just talking about dogs.